and I'll move stairwells from one side of the house to the other, because they just functionally in the 50s or 40s or 70s just didn't make sense. You know, they're in a weird spot in the house. And so this stairwell we didn't have to, because it actually worked out pretty well with the kids. And I like houses that I can open up kitchens, I can have an open design, and I can have an area where kids can get away from the rest of the family. I found that to be a very good sale point, because people like to have the separation. You know, I figure I probably spent about $35 a square foot on the whole house. Okay. When I look at it that way, because if sometimes you can almost take a general number like that. You know, I've had 2 or 3 properties that have been total guts. I mean, they were just sat on the market forever because they were so bad, someone had to come in and do that. And when I look back on those, I was figuring it out last night, it comes out on average about 35 to 40 a square foot. So properties I look at today, when I'll go through and walk them, and if I see that, you know, it's got holes in the ceiling and it's tarped on the roof and the basement's, you know, nasty, I might just look at it and go, it's 1,500 square feet, 40 bucks a square. I can come up with a number. It's gonna be about 60 grand. And I bet you I can get pretty close on that, knowing what I've done before. Now again, that's, most people aren't gonna go out and buy a house that they have to tear down and then build back up, because that's a big undertaking. But from a number standpoint, just real general, that would add to my list of, you know, how I calculate. I'm trying to find a home that I can create in such a way that 80% of the market would want to live in that home. I don't want to build something that, you know, or structure or create something that a small percentage of people are going to go, that's the niche house for me, because it's so unique or different. Something that, you know, that could be something. I've worked with a lot of people who go, I don't, you know, I didn't get any permits because it costs money. Now I got the city meddling and coming and checking all my stuff. What I found is that at the end of the day, when the house is in this condition and you find a buyer, I can promise you they're going to have an inspector. And when that happens, either the inspector and or the buyer, every single one of my properties, they've asked, because they've said, you know, they can see it's been totally redone. Their question is, well, where are the permits? Almost every house I've had. Now again, I don't know if it's a Madison thing or what, but I always get that question asked. And if I was someone who said, you know what, I can save $1,000 because I don't need to get a master electrician, I can get my scrubber guy to go do the electrical, which my guy could do the electrical, for sure, and it would pass.
But you come to the front of the house, they make sure that's clean, they walk through the front of the door, and as long as that's clean, then their mind probably instantly goes to, all right, what modifications, how am I going to make this livable for me?
And the women are looking for closet space.
Well, see, most people are coming into a property looking for what's wrong, not what's right. Because they can see all the new stuff, they're trying to go, okay, what isn't right? You know, open the cupboards, okay, it swings, you know, the door, let's go look at the electric panel, it's, you know, the basic stuff, but they can, I mean, you stand here and you go, well, everything looks pretty new. Okay, well, what's wrong? Oh. Okay, next room. You know, I find people look for the things that are wrong so they can compare it later and go, yeah, did you see that or this, or I'd have to change that or color that or whatever. But, so I'm trying to always minimize the things that they won't find as opposed to all the things that they go, that's really nice. Because the way I look at it is I try to clean everything so that it all looks really clean and nice.
Trade contractors, we got a scope of work for our trades to follow. How successful would I be with the REIA trades, of getting them to sign a contract for starting time, finishing time, incorporating the scope of work, payment terms, etc.? So like the last house, you know, some people were commenting, well, this wasn't done right, that wasn't done right, but it was in the scope. They didn't do it, now they're knocking on your door wanting to get paid. Would I have success trying to incorporate a contract with these trades that here's going to be the game plan, how we're going to communicate in our relationship through this for every project we do? Would they sign?
Well, you have to. I mean, you have to be in control of the project. I mean, if you start leaving it to chance or don't, you know, touch on those points, especially setting the expectation, yeah, you're going to probably end up on the losing end of that deal. So it's not a question of will they do it, it's a question of finding the one that will do it.
Yeah.
Because you need to have it done a certain way, you need it to look a certain way. And even when you do that, it won't be 100%. But what you're doing is you're reducing the opportunity for error.
You can also have that out here.
I'm wary of the contractor that says, yeah, I can do this and I got a crew and it's all this great, but I can't get started till you give me $5 grand because I can't afford to buy any of the stuff. All right, so if you're broke and are you doing other, I mean, how are you getting paid? Are you taking my money and using it to do another job, see, I don't know what's going on in the background, and that concerns me. So I wouldn't do that. I don't recommend anyone else.
In the coaching
And you know,
program, the ability to come back and say, because that Friday, because you can pay somebody on the job, they're still thinking on Friday they have to pay their guys. So if they're not done, you know, they need a couple more days to get things finished. They still want to pay off their guys and come back. So it's hard because you've got a relationship with them, you're trying to think long term, you kind of understand their situation, and you want them to finish, and you don't want them to piss you off. And you know, they might be sitting there with their kids in the car, right? I mean, I can't tell you how many times this happened, and they need money. But okay, well, if you think like that, though, you're going to get hurt in this business, because that really is not your problem.
Right.
That was their
That's
problem.
their
That was
problem.
their manager. This is a business.
Yeah.
This is, we're not paying them hourly.
Right.
But it makes it so much easier when you can say, you know what, I would love to pay you. I really understand, but I can't because my lender or because my partner, Chris, won't do it. I'd love to pay you, but I can't. I don't have the money. It's not up to me. And you need to be able to defer that responsibility to somebody else and stand strong, because when it's not your choice, and guess what, if you're actually listening to us, it's not your choice, you can be a lot firmer than you might otherwise be.